Now broadcasting from the Next Gen Conservative Studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report with Sam Whitfield.
Hello there, folks, and welcome to the Monday edition of the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, and I hope you all had a great weekend. I know I did. Very relaxing. During the weekend, however, a couple interesting events occurred. There was, of course, CPAC 2023, the Conservative Political Action Conference, which I have to admit, I didn't really tune into CPAC all that much, ladies and gentlemen. I saw a couple highlights, but generally, ladies and gentlemen, I have not been interested in CPAC really for about the past 2 years or so. I've been to enough political conferences of my own. I've never been to CPAC itself, but I've been to the Western Conservative Summit in Denver, Colorado a few times. In fact, that was my very first political convention that I attended way back when I was a senior in high school, several years ago. And I met Glenn Beck there several years ago. And that photo of when Glenn Beck and I, that kind of circulated and, that's kind of become one of my more well-known public photos out there. So I've been to the Western Conservative Summit a few times, and I've also been to YALCON, which is, that's the Young Americans for Liberty. That's their convention. I went to one of those a few years ago, and then I've just been to various other, smaller conservative events here in Florida, and they all are essentially the same thing. They're more or less networking events for, conservatives. That's what they are at the end of the day. And CPAC is no different. In fact, Dennis Miller put it, put it so eloquently a few years, probably like 15 years ago when he was broadcasting from CPAC. He basically said it was like 4th of July meets the Star Wars Cantina bar scene. And that's not based on footage I've seen and my experience at other conservative conventions. That's not too far. That's not too far from the truth regarding, an accurate description of CPAC. But at any rate, one of the reasons why I've never been able to go is, 2 reasons. A, when I was in college, they would always, host in like late February, early March. And of course, my school, whenever I was in school, that was usually either when finals were, when midterms were either getting ready to start or when I was in the midst of midterms. So not a really good, spot for me to, fly to DC, even for the weekend. That wasn't ever really that good for me to do that. And then on top of all that, just the pricing is, really expensive because they hold at the Gaylord Hotel in DC, which is like, it's like 15 to 2,000 dollars for just the weekend at CPAC, and for 2 nights and 3 days, which is not a pretty penny, and that's just the starting price. So yeah, I've never been to CPAC myself, but I've watched highlights over the years, and I don't know. To be honest, over the past couple of years, CPAC just doesn't have the fire that it used to me. Maybe it's just because I've gotten older and whatnot, but there role wasn't that much energy at CPAC this year from what I could see, and not a whole lot of Twitter buzz either regarding CPAC, which is weird because in years past, like conservative Twitter was usually going over blow by blow, minute by minute coverage of CPAC in years past, and now it's just kind of dwindled down. But at any rate, I figured we would cover CPAC regardless, cover a couple of highlights, just in general, since it is relevant. And let me say this from the outset. People were looking for, like lines in the sand to be drawn and, policy for 2024 and battle plans to really be set up. But I didn't see too much of that this year at CPAC, which is really weird considering it's the year before an election year. Not too many people, at CPAC were really gearing up for 24. It kind of seemed like an off year, which to be fair it is, but it's also the year right before the election. So you'd think there would be more energy in CPAC. But regardless, those are just some of my criticisms from the outset. Now, I was tempted to view Trump's speech in its entirety and dissect it in its entirety for you all. However, I am trying to keep these Monday podcasts under an hour. And Trump's entire speech is like an hour and 50 minutes. It's almost 2 hours. So definitely not going to do that. I did find a pretty good highlight compilation of Trump's CPAC speech from Newsmax that I think does a pretty good job of some of the highlights. But then I wanted to cover some other highlights from some other people as well. Most notably, first off, we have Nikki Haley, who delivered some remarks at CPAC, and it looks like she's gearing up to throw her hat in the ring in 24 as well. So without further ado, let's take a look at this. Roll the tape.
The liberal media's heads are exploding about my run for president. And we all know why. The media can't stand the fact that I'm a conservative. Think about it. I'm a woman, I'm a minority, and I'm the daughter of immigrants. I am proof that liberals are wrong about everything they say about America. Americans deserve better than the way we're living today, and I'm confident we can take our country to her best days. The plan I'm calling for will do just that. It's fundamentally conservative and profoundly American, and I know we can unite our people. But real unity doesn't come from faint hearts or watered-down compromises. Real national unity comes from boldly proclaiming our national purpose. It comes from standing on principle and persuading opponents to stand with us, like I did when I was governor and when I was ambassador. I'll take this message far and wide in the days ahead. But I have a particular message for you, my fellow conservatives. We've lost the popular vote in the last 7 out of 8 presidential elections. Our cause is right, but we have failed to win the confidence of a majority of Americans. That ends now. If you're tired of losing, put your trust in a new generation. And if you want to win, not just as a party, but as a country, then stand with me. I'm here to ask for your vote, but I want something else even more. I want us to inspire our country again. Together, we can summon our fellow citizens to look past the failed ideas and leaders from Washington and find the courage to be part of the solution. It is time that we have term limits once and for all in Washington, D.C. Americans deserve better than the way we're living today, and I'm confident we can take our country to her best days. The plan I'm calling for will do just that. It's fundamentally conservative and profoundly American, and I know we can unite our people. But real unity doesn't come from faint hearts or watered-down compromises. Real national unity comes from boldly proclaiming our national purpose. It comes from standing on principle and persuading opponents to stand with us, like I did when I was governor and when I was ambassador. I'll take this message far and wide in the days ahead. But I have a particular message for you, my fellow conservatives. We've lost the popular vote in the last 7 out of 8 presidential elections. Our cause is right, but we have failed to win the confidence of a majority of Americans. That ends now. If you're tired of losing...
So basically, ABC News just looped, what they basically looped her remarks and played them twice in the video, right? So my first impression from seeing that is, because I didn't really see her, I did see Trump's whole speech, and it's long. I'm not going to have time to play the whole thing, as I said. But one thing my takeaway from, the clip of Nikki Haley, this was supposedly a big moment at CPAC, right? But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, how? How was this a big defining moment, for Nikki Haley? This sounds like almost every, conservative speech that I've heard going back to Sarah Palin in 2008. It's not new. Our ideas are better. We need, common sense solutions. All that. But she's not energetic. Really, it seems like she's just doing the standard, conservative ink, type speech. Very boomer-ish as far as presentation. She says she has great policy ideas, and I realize that this is a highlight reel, but still, what are those policies? Has she outlined anything specific that she wants to do? I've looked. I can't see a whole lot regarding what her actual policy is. So far, we have Donald Trump and we have Nikki Haley, who's coming off as a real milquetoast conservative, right? Then we have Mike Pompeo, who I guess, let me just make sure that this is showing here. Okay, it is. So Mike Pompeo also made a speech at CPAC, and his biggest moment at CPAC came from the fact that he basically criticized Trump, right? So he took a shot at the big man here, and let's see what he has to say. Okay, I got the clip queued up. Again, this is Mike Pompeo at CPAC. This comes from the Washington Post. Pompeo in the video is Pompeo criticizes Trump's refusal to quote unquote acknowledge reality. Okay, so clip number 2, roll the tape.
We have to also show why. To show why and how we're different from the left, embracing conservatism that sets us apart in substance and style and our commitment to values. Liberals look for solutions in the government. We know that's dangerous. Don't hand that government more power under the guise of conservatism. We shouldn't look for larger-than-life personalities, but rather we should find power in the rooms like this one, people all across the country. And I'm confident we're going to get there. A renewed dedication to accountability, personal responsibility, and results. This is the thing that has made the conservative movement and our party successful for decades. We can't become the left, following celebrity leaders with their own brand of identity politics, those with fragile egos who refuse to acknowledge reality. This is a tough world, both abroad and here. And we can't shift blame to others, but must accept the responsibility that comes to those of us who step forward and lead. Over the last few years, I've heard some who claim to be conservative excuse hypocrisy by saying something like, well, we're electing a president, not a Sunday school teacher. That's true. But having taught Sunday school, maybe we could get both. It's time for us to make sure we're living out these very things we're asking others to do. These external threats, these internal threats that we face today, they're a challenge to American sovereignty, our traditions.
So again, Mike Pompeo, ladies and gentlemen, like Nikki Haley, is another individual who really didn't say anything other than the traditional, conservative Inc. buzzword, right? We need, conservative values, traditional values. He also, for some reason, he thought that bashing Trump and his supporters, and calling him someone with a massive ego and, who talks tough and doesn't understand reality. He thought that would, gain him traction by going over, by, taking a shot at Trump. But as you could see, the crowd was, at best he got a few claps, for we need to be more responsible with our ideas. His energy was very, low energy Mike, as Trump might say. And all in all, he was not very energetic either. Now, people have said that Mike Pompeo would be a good nominee to run, but just from the outset, putting aside everything that Pompeo just said, which was a very weak speech, Pompeo's big problem and why he will struggle in the presidential field is this. Mike Pompeo was the director of the CIA for Donald Trump. And granted, he was a very good CIA director for Trump. But what the people in Washington don't understand, and what the establishment Republicans either don't understand or what they don't care about, is the fact that a lot of people, a lot of conservatives, and just how people in general, a lot of people are weary of the CIA or any of these other alphabet agencies and the people who lead them. And so the fact that Pompeo's background is in military intelligence these days in 2023 and in 2024, that is going to be a huge obstacle and roadblock for Mike Pompeo. And there are a lot of people who have a strong distrust of him because he was a CIA director. And I'm not even saying anything conspiratorial about him. I'm just saying that a lot of people have mistrust in him because he was CIA director, and being director of the CIA automatically equals the shadowy government types in a lot of people's minds. So that's a big thing that I think is going to be a huge obstacle for Mike Pompeo if he decides to run. Right? Okay, so now, before we get to Trump, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go ahead here, and I want to talk about a few of the people who were not at CPAC 2023 this year. And one of those people, well, there's only one I want to talk about, and that is Governor Ron DeSantis, my governor from the great state of Florida. And he did not make an appearance at CPAC this year for two reasons. The first one is pretty obvious, to me at least, and that is that Governor DeSantis is busy doing his job running the state of Florida and being our leader. He's busy doing his job as governor, and he's not going to be at CPAC, unless it were in Florida, he would not, I don't think he would leave the state to do political something like that, right? Which leads me to my next point, which is a lot of people are saying that he's going to be the Trojan horse candidate, the surprise candidate that is going to challenge Trump. He's going to be the big, that's going to be the rivalry, Trump versus DeSantis in the Republican primaries. There are a lot of people, particularly in the Lincoln Project, who want that to happen. And it very well could happen. But as I have said before, and as my co-host Shmuley has said, too, and several others, that is not a smart idea for DeSantis, because there are a lot of DeSantis's supporters are also Trump supporters. The vast majority of them, I would say. And so by having Trump versus DeSantis would be alienating his own base, right? And so that would not be good for him. Trump would beat him, in the primary, and then in 2028, when DeSantis needed help, I think a lot of MAGA conservatives would not back him per se, and his 2028 would be in the ground. Now, because of that, I think DeSantis knows that running in 2024 would not be obstacle for him. I think he knows that, and I think that's why he decided not to show up at CPAC 2023. There are all these people, in the Lincoln Project and in kind of conservative Inc., if that's what you'll call them, that desperately want Trump and DeSantis to face off against each other, right? They desperately want that. But DeSantis, I think, knows that this is that it's a bad idea. He has said publicly that his only intentions as right now are to be the best governor that he can be for the state of Florida and continue his work. And I believe him. And I don't think it's because he's afraid of going up against Trump or anything like that. I don't think it's a matter of, is he, fearful of Trump or is he not? I think he realizes practically that it would not be obstacle for him. And plus, more than that, though, I genuinely think that he wants to fulfill his second term as governor of Florida, as he said he would, because in my mind, DeSantis is a man of principle and he does keep his word. So he's going to keep his word to his fellow Floridians and finish his term out, and then we'll see where things go in 2028. So I don't, I think that's why he's not running. And, the other thing kind of adding on to that is, all in all, he hasn't named a successor yet for governor of Florida. And I think he's going to want to do that before the end of his term as governor is up. He's going to, want to name a successor, kind of, someone to endorse who can continue his work, as governor. And whether that be Lieutenant Governor Janet Nunez or somebody else, I'm not sure yet. But I definitely think that he will want to pick someone as his quote-unquote successor for governor of Florida. But I just don't think that that's, he's not ready to do that yet. He's ready to, his only goal is to, keep on serving as governor of Florida. And he's doing a pretty good job so far. Okay, so with that out of the way, I want to, draw your attention now to Trump's CPAC remarks this weekend. And there was a lot of there was a lot of things that he said, again, 2-hour speech, but his main takeaway, it seems to be Biden. He has made it abundantly clear that he wants a rematch against Biden in 2024. That is his big purpose. Right now, that is his main focus. And then he is going to finish what he started as president in 2016. So this ought to be interesting, folks. So let's play the clip as soon as I get it queued up. And let's see. Here we go. Okay. So here are some highlights from Trump's CPAC speech over the weekend. Again, this is 5 minutes out of a out of a 2-hour speech. So I recommend that everyone go and watch that. In fact, I will link to Trump's full CPAC speech in the show notes because I definitely think it is worth watching. But here are just some brief summaries of Trump's CPAC speech highlights. Roll the tape.
But we have no choice. If we don't do this, our country will be lost forever. People are tired of rhinos and globalists. They want to see America first. That's what they want. It's not too complicated. This is the final battle. They know it. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. This is it. Either they win or we win. And if they win, we no longer have a country. And I promise you this. If you put me back in the White House, that beautiful building, but I live in very beautiful buildings, it's not that reason. Beautiful. That building wasn't the easiest building to live in with what I was put through. And I get a lot of credit. A lot of people say, how do you do it, sir? I had a man come up to me the other day, one of the toughest, strongest people that you can imagine. You all know his name, big businessman, a lot of money, a lot of success, tough as hell. And he said, could I ask you a question, President? What? A friend of mine used to call me Donald, now he calls me President. Could I ask you a question, President? What? How do you do it? How do you do it? Every day they send you subpoenas. Every day they're after you. They're looking to take you down at levels that nobody's ever put up with before. 7 years I've gone through this. We beat them all, but it continues. And he said to me, seriously, how do you do it? I could never do it. This is one of the toughest guys. I said, maybe you could. He said, nope, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get out of bed in the morning, but I do it for you, and that's what I'm doing it for. I do it for you. Thank you, Monica. Thank you very much. And if you put me back in the White House, their reign is over. Their reign will be over. And they know it. And America will be a free nation once again. We're not a free nation right now. We don't have free press. We don't have free anything. In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today, I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution. Not going to let this happen. Not going to let it happen. I will totally obliterate the deep state. I will fire. I will fire the unelected bureaucrats and shadow forces.
Okay, now I just want to pause here real quick because notice in those 3 minutes, folks, this is only a 5-minute clip, but notice in just those 3 minutes that we've played so far, he is funny, He's making jokes about, living in the White House versus living in Mar-a-Lago. He's getting laughs from the crowd. He's pithy. He's engaging. The crowd is cheering. They're whooping it up. They're super engaged. And of course, Trump's critics will be like, well, that's just because he has a cult of personality and, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. That's Trump's cult-like behavior kicking in. And granted, that might be true to a certain extent. But you cannot tell me that a crowd like that is, I'm sure that there were people in that crowd who were cheering who have had disagreements with Trump. Who, like me, and I will admit this, there are moments, right, where Trump has tweeted something or he has said something, and we've all had those, facepalm moments. Like, why did he tweet that? Why did he say that? Right? Trump definitely has had his blunders. There's no denying that. However, Trump's energy when Trump has his mojo, there's no denying. Even the left can't deny this, that when Trump has his mojo going, it's uncontainable. And so, notice the difference between Trump and that of Nikki Haley or Mike Pompeo, who, Mike Pompeo and Nikki Haley, they might be more eloquent, they might be more statesman-like, but they're not that engaging, and so therefore they're only getting a small, they're getting polite clapping from a few people in the back row at the most. Whereas Trump's being energized and the crowd loves it.
Who have weaponized our justice system like it has never been weaponized before. It's sick. These are sick people. And I will put the people back in charge of this country again. The people will be back in charge of our country. The Biden administration is the most corrupt administration in American history. Hunter Biden is a criminal and nothing happened to him. Nothing happened. Joe Biden is a criminal and nothing ever seems to happen to him. Because, say what you want, but the Democrats stick together. They don't have Mitt Romney. They don't have guys like that. They stick together. How's Mitt Romney doing? Not too good. I could name plenty of others, too. But they do stick together, whether you like them or not, and many of us don't, but maybe someday we get together. A question was asked of me just before COVID came.
And that's the other thing, too, is Trump recognizes that the Democrats do stick together. And this is something that Republicans just simply don't do. The conservative movement is so fractured. The right is fractured. It's unbelievable, in all honesty. And this lack of unity, this is why the Democrats, more often than not, seem to win. Even when they do, criminal things like election fraud and whatnot, and stealing elections, etc., they can afford to do that because there's no cohesion and there's no unity. And Trump understands, in the Republican Party. there's no cohesion and there's no unity on our side. And whereas the Democrats do have that on their side. So they can get away with murder pretty much. And Trump understands that.
Amen. They said, the country is coming together. Do you think this is real? And I said to myself, it is real. It's amazing. I was getting calls from radical left people, the nicest calls. It's amazing because we had the best employment numbers in history. We had the best economy in history. We were lapping China. China was supposed to have taken over as the world's largest economy, and we were actually increasing at a level that nobody thought possible. We were doing great. And then you had COVID come in, and a lot of things had to happen, and we did a great job. We never got the credit for that job, but we did a great job with COVID, and then gave back something very strong. But we were really bringing this country together. Had COVID not come in, I think you would have had a much different, because a lot of people want to know, can we all get along together? And if I didn't have that experience, I would say no, because the thought process is so different. But we were starting to really get along.
So again, he's talking about unity and ignore this. This is just a Newsmax ad at the end of the video. But again, Trump is talking about unity. He's talking about bringing the country together. He's got people laughing, chuckling. And again, even if you, like me, have had moments where, Trump says some abrasive things, and there's no doubt that he can be an asshole at times, right? But this is the Donald Trump. When we see this Trump, he's on fire. He's got his mojo back, and at this rate, there's no doubt that he's going to be. I mean, he already is the front runner, but with this type of energy, he's going to be the nominee again in 2024. Mark my words. It's just that simple. So that's pretty much the summary I have for CPAC 23. Like I said, minus Trump's speech, very lackluster this year, ladies and gentlemen. Not a whole lot to discuss, in all honesty. Really not a lot of energy. Kind of disappointing. But you guys wanted the CPAC summary, so there you have it. Before we go, though, I do kind of want to end the Monday show with a little palate cleanser for you all. Because this weekend, Chris Rock's new comedy special on Netflix dropped, and he had a few choice words to say about his confrontation with Will Smith last year at the Oscars. And this clip was going around a couple, all throughout the weekend. And this was actually the name of his special that's out on Netflix. Pretty good. Selective Outrage, which is a fitting title and just kind of sums up things in the country as a whole. So here's an excerpt from that special, and Chris Rock talking about his confrontation with Will Smith and kind of the fall from that.
Getting smacked by Suge Smith. Everybody knows. Everybody fucking knows. Yes, it happened. I got smacked like a year ago. Fucking last week, I got smacked in the fucking Oscars by this motherfucker. And people like, did it hurt? It still hurts. I got Summertime ringing in my ear. Fucking drums, please. But I'm not a victim, baby. You will never see me on Oprah or Gail crying. You will never see it. Never gonna happen. I couldn't believe it, and I love Men in Black. No. It's never gonna happen. No. Fuck that shit. I took that hit like Pacquiao, motherfucker. I took it like motherfucking Pacquiao, okay? Shit, man. Did it hurt? Yeah, motherfucker, it hurt. And people are, well, you guys are fighting all the time. We're not fighting. First of all, I know you can't tell on camera. Will Smith is significantly bigger than me. We are not the same size, okay? We are not. This guy, Will Smith does movies with his shirt off. You've never seen me do a movie with my shirt off. If I'm in a movie getting open heart surgery, I got on a sweater. Will Smith played Muhammad Ali in a movie. You think I auditioned for that part? He played Muhammad Ali. I played Pookie in New Jack City. Pookie, motherfucker. I played a piece of corn in Pootie Tang. Shit, even in animation, this motherfucker's bigger. I'm a zebra, he's a shark. What the fuck, man? But Will Smith practices selective outrage. Practices selective outrage. Because everybody knows what the fuck happened. Everybody that really knows I had nothing to do with that shit. I didn't have any entanglements. I did not have any entanglement. And for people that don't know, and everybody know, his wife was fucking her son's friend, okay? Now, I normally would not talk about this shit. But for some reason, these niggas put that shit on the internet. I have no idea why two talented people would do something that fucking low down. What the fuck? We all been cheated on. Everybody in here have been cheated on. None of us have ever been interviewed by the person that cheated on us on television. None of us. It's like, hey, I was sucking somebody else's dick. How did that make you feel? Why the fuck would you do that shit? She hurt him way more than he hurt me, okay? Okay? And by the way, he does shit. Everybody in the world called him a bitch. I tried to call the motherfucker and give him my condolences. He didn't pick up for me. Everybody called that man a bitch. Fucking Charlemagne called him a bitch, and the Breakfast Club called him a bitch, and The View, and The Talk, and every rapper, and the Drink Champs called him a fucking bitch. Everybody called him a bitch. They called his wife a predator. Everybody called him a bitch. Everybody. And who's he hit? Me. A nigga he know he could beat. That is some bitch ass shit. That's what the fuck happened, okay? The fuck out of here, man. The fuck? What the fuck? I do nothing to this motherfucker, okay? Whatever. Years ago, his wife said I should quit the Oscars. I shouldn't host because her man didn't get nominated for Emancipation. The biggest piece of shit ever. Okay? And then so the nigga gives me a fucking concussion. No, not Emancipation. I fucked up the joke. Concussion. She fucking said he should quit because Will didn't get nominated for concussion. What the fuck? What So then I do some jokes about her. Who gives a fuck? That's how it is. She starts it, I finish it, okay? That's what the fuck happened. Nobody's picking on this bitch. She started this shit. Nobody was picking on her. Nobody was picking on her. She said a fucking grown-ass man should quit his job because her husband didn't get nominated for concussion.
So that that was a pretty good bit. That is basically a good summary of what happened in regards to the Will Smith versus Chris Rock situation. And there are people on Twitter, oh, he shouldn't talk about that. He shouldn't have put that in the special. No, he deserved to go off. He deserved to put that in his special, which, the entirety of the special is pretty good. I didn't see the whole thing, but I did see. I started watching it last night, and I believe that joke comes in more towards the end. But overall, it's pretty good. So check out Selective Outrage on Netflix if you have it. And yeah, it's a good special. So anyway, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning into the show. And I hope everyone has a good Monday. And we'll be back on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern for the live show on Rumble and Odyssey. Not sure who our guest is going to be for this week yet. We've still got a few guests I'm in talks with. I've already got some guests lined up for next week, but they couldn't do it this week. So we're going to do it next week. But I shall have a guest by Wednesday, so I will announce probably either later tonight or tomorrow who that is. But anyway, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and, listening and or watching. God bless. God save this great nation. God, freedom, legacy in that order. And I will see you on Wednesday night for the live show.
Thanks for listening to The Whitfield Report on the NGC Network. Please visit Sam's website at www.thesamwhitfield.com and support Sam on Patreon at patreon.com/Whitfield Report. Until next time, God bless, God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy, in that order.